The original Twilight Zone is an all-time classic in the history of television. On the air for 5 seasons and 156 episodes, most fans remember episodes like To Serve Man, Time Enough at Last, and Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. But did you know that 4 episodes were withheld from the syndication package, one of which was banned from television for 52 years? What were these rarely seen episodes, and why weren't they included in the syndication package? We'll find out on this episode of Rerun Zone. Number 1. A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain, Season 5, Episode 11. This was considered a bottle episode, where all of the story occurs in one setting in order to save money. In it, an aging man named Harmon Gordon struggles to keep up with his considerably younger wife, Flora. Harmon is crazy about Flora, who is 40 years younger than him. He'll do anything to make her happy, even though she treats him like dirt and makes fun of him every chance she gets, calling him Big Daddy in a sarcastic way. One night after they fight, Harmon calls his younger brother Raymond, who's a research scientist. He begs Raymond to be a test subject for an experimental youth serum that he is working on. At first, Raymond says no, but then his brother tells him that he'll kill himself if he loses Flora. Raymond insists that the serum has not been tested on humans and could have unintended side effects, and oh boy does it ever. No spoilers here though. In the original script, Harmon's brother was supposed to be a family doctor, but CBS requested that his occupation be changed to research scientist due to his willingness to experiment on his brother. As if that makes it any better. This episode wasn't included in the original Twilight Zone syndication package due to a lawsuit filed by someone claiming they had submitted the story idea first. When the episode finally became available to watch in 1984, Patrick O'Neill, who played Harmon, talked about how well the show's makeup artist had aged him, since he now looked very much like he did when he was older in the show. Ruta Lee, who played the much younger Flora, was actually only 8 years younger than O'Neill at the time. Number 2, Sounds and Silences, Season 5, Episode 27. In this episode, we meet Mr. Roswell G. Flemington, owner of a model ship company and an ex-Navy serviceman. He's a man who was raised by an overbearing mother in a home where she required total silence. Now an adult, he's obsessed with the Navy and makes as much noise as he possibly can in rebellion. At home, he plays the sound of Navy cannon fire so loudly through his stereo that the whole room shakes. After 20 years of his obsession with noise, his wife has had enough and finally leaves him. Now alone, he begins to hear every single noise, no matter how small, as if it were an explosion or a gunshot. First, it's the dripping faucet. Then, it's the shower head. And finally, a ticking alarm clock. He goes to see an ear doctor who finds nothing wrong, and when he yells at the doctor tells him he needs a psychiatrist. When he finally visits a psychiatrist, he realizes that it's all in his head, as he's still resentful about how his mother made him keep quiet when he was a child. He now thinks that all he has to do to shut out the noise around him is to use mind over matter. That is, until his ex-wife comes over to get her jewelry. He tells her about his problem and then uses mind over matter to shut her out. In a story written by Rod Serling and directed by Richard Donner, John MacGyver is perfect for the part of Flemington. His wife Lydia is played by Penny Singleton, who was the voice of Jane Jetson in the animated series The Jetsons. Serling was sued after the episode's first viewing by an author who had sent in a script in 1961 called The Sound of Silence. Once the case was settled, the author received $3,500 in damages for plagiarism due to storyline similarities. Because of the lawsuit, the episode was withheld from the syndication package and was not seen again until 1984, when it was shown during a special holiday screening. Number 3, Miniature, Season 4, Episode 8. Even though critics loved The Twilight Zone and it had a strong, loyal fan base, CBS decided to cancel the show after the 3rd season because of low ratings. But Serling didn't give up that easily and pitched a new season with hour-long episodes to try to draw in more viewers. The show missed the typical September debut, but came back mid-season with all new hour-long episodes. The hour-long episodes failed to draw a larger audience, but brought us 18 more great episodes with some incredible highlights and also some lowlights. One of the highlights is the 8th episode of Season 4 titled Miniature, written by Charles Beaumont. Due to a lawsuit, Miniature has been seen even less than most of the other Season 4 episodes. Just like Sounds and Silences in Season 5, the suit claimed a copyright violation due to an earlier script that was submitted with the same basic plot line. In the episode, a 32-year-old Robert Duvall plays Charlie Parks, a lonely misfit of a man who goes to the local museum to get away from the world. He wanders into a section of the museum that is deserted, where he sees a dollhouse on display with a figure of a woman inside that he believes has come to life. When the doll begins to play the piano, he asks a guard how they got the doll to move. The guard tells him that the doll was carved out of a single block of wood and doesn't move at all. Charlie leaves but is mesmerized by the figurine and keeps going back to the museum. He's gradually falling in love with the doll, but on his next visit, a miniature man enters the dollhouse and then leaves with the girl. He keeps going back to watch the doll and begins to talk to her. One day, he finds her fighting with the male figurine in the dollhouse, who knocks out her maid with a cane and then takes the girl upstairs to the bedroom. He smashes the glass case where the dollhouse is on display to try and save the girl, but ends up being placed in a mental institution for his delusions. When he's finally thought to be rehabilitated, he's returned home in his mother's care. But he sneaks out later that day and returns to the museum to express his love to the doll. When his family searches the museum looking for him, no one can find him anywhere except for the museum guard. Duvall is great here, capturing the look of a man who is desperately in love with a living doll. Is he crazy, delusional, or just in the Twilight Zone? You can decide for yourself, but I'll choose the latter. Number 4. The Encounter. Season 5, Episode 31. The Encounter was originally broadcast on May 1, 1964, as the Twilight Zone was nearing the end of its 5th and final season. Due to its racial subject matter, the episode was only shown once in its original run and was not seen again on network television until January 1, 2016, when it was finally shown as part of a Twilight Zone marathon on the Sci-Fi Network. In the episode, George Takei, Mr. Sulu of Star Trek fame, plays a Japanese-American gardener named Takamori who is spoken to in a racially offensive way by a World War II veteran named Fenton. It was because of this and its racial overtones that the episode was never released for syndication and wasn't seen again for 52 years. The story centers around a samurai sword that Fenton used to kill a Japanese soldier 20 years previously in World War II. The sword seems to have a supernatural effect on Takamori and has him under its spell. Although it's not one of the better or more memorable Twilight Zone episodes, it does have its moments, and both George Takei and Neville Brand are great in their parts and squeeze every bit of emotion out of their lines. Well, that's the story of the 4 Twilight Zone episodes that were withheld from the original syndication package. What are your memories of these episodes, and have you ever seen them at all? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, this is Rich from Rerun Zone signing off.